Good morning. Welcome to Bars and Bells. My name is Lauren.
And I'm Ian.
This is the weekend workout, or anytime in the archive where you would like to join us for about a 25, 27, 30 minute, depends on how it goes, workout with just our body weight and a little bit of space. We'll get started with a light warm-up, we'll progress into our crawls, and ultimately work towards that handstands. There'll be many progressions along the way, so join us. Let's get started.
Excellent. We'll start with our theme park style warm-up here today, inclusive of the head neck and the rib cage.
Also, we're going to work on some single leg squats.
Always. At the head neck, for one each way, extension, that's looking up. Then flexion, gently doing our chin nod, looking down. Return the eyes to the horizon, and we can also do flexion here, being sideways, and then extension to middle, and then the same thing, lateral flexion, the other side. We also have rotation, that's looking over a shoulder one way, through the middle, and then the other way, and then back to center. Let's replicate those same patterns, just one each for this round, through the rib cage or T-spine. As Lauren has hands across body, keep the arms in nice and tight or shoulder blades retracted, and our flexion shape is that rounding shape forward, but keep the shoulder blades back. Extension is lifting the heart up or the T-spine up, and then just return to a middle place. Flexion extension also can happen in this plane, that sideways bend, tall in the middle, sideways flex, tall in the middle again. And this time try to keep the hips and the head forward as we turn through the rib cage or that torso, back to center, and then one more time, other rotation, then also back to center. I'll come back to more of those in a moment, but maybe Lauren, if you want to do those single leg squats just the way I do, let's maybe warm up those ankles and feet to start.
All right, we'll start down below here with our feet underneath of us. Let's just first start by pointing the leg out front. Now with that foot pointed out front and our bowl of hips level, let's first start by pulling our toes to our nose, just the toes move, and then point the toes again. Now this time bring the toes to the nose, then flex the ankle. Then the ankle's going to go back towards pointed, and then the toes will finish the movement. One more time, toes first, then ankle, ankle, and then toes. Next, let's do an ankle circle each way. So drawing a circle towards the midline first, trying not to move our lower leg, trying not to move our upper leg as we draw that circle one way, and then we'll rotate and switch directions as we draw the circle the other way. Finish with your pointed foot, but then go toes, ankle, nice flex foot underneath. Repeat on the other side. So tall on the standing leg, point to the front. First your toes pull to your nose and they're nice and spread out, and then your toes point. And then the toes flex, and then the ankle flexes. The ankle points, the toes point. One more time, toes, ankle, ankle, toes. From here, we did a circle towards the midline first. Again, those lower two shin bones are trying not to move as we do this. This femur bone is trying not to move as we switch directions here. We'll go all the way around to the pointed foot, and then toes, ankle, and straight leg underneath. Now let's gently bend those ankles, sending the knees towards over our toes, sitting those hips back. Stay here, lift your toes up, and then put your toes down. See if you can sink a little lower. Lift your toes up, put your toes down. Sink a little lower. One more time, toes up, toes down. Now let's reverse it. Heels up, heels down. Sink a little lower. Two more, heels up, heels down, sink a little lower. And last time, heels up. We'll try to push out of this, keeping the legs or getting the legs to nice and straight. Squeeze the cheeks, ribs over top of hips, and then slowly descend back down. Shake that out.
And after the shakeout, we're back to that theme park. Flexion, extension, rotation. The combinations of those show up here as we draw circles about that head neck and then through the rib cage. Start with that forward head posture, that dreaded text neck. And from that forward posture, slide an ear towards the right side. Going clockwise around, take it towards the back, then towards the left side here, and then back out front, and pull back in to center. Maybe on your Instagram, Mad Chad is there doing these pop and locking drills too. And just taking your time to navigate that circle, creating stability at certain joints and mobilizing the others. Let's replicate that same pattern now through the rib cage. Torso together. Extension of the T-spine isn't up or back like in cat-cow, but rather forward in this plane. And then from there, let's slide to the right. Pull the belly button in and create that stability through our lumbar core here. And then returning to that left, back to the front. Let's pull back in center and repeating extension forward. And now for me in that counterclockwise direction towards left, carving out that space in the back, finishing around that right hand side to middle and pull back into center. And then we can shake that out. There's one more for me up top here for a second. Maybe let's take it all the way back down there for Lauren.
We're going to go halfway down and warm up those hips, continuing a little bit with those feet. So we'll stand tall in the standing leg and we'll point a leg out front. First at the big femur bone, let's rotate the leg open, and that happens at our hip butt cheek. Then let's turn that leg in, hiding the inseam. Repeat again, turn the leg open.
Bless you.
Sorry, it's the lights, they get me every time. And then turn the leg back in. I think we're in.
I'm in.
Yes, and then we'll turn the leg back open. We'll flex the foot. We'll keep the foot in that flex position, keep the inseam forward, hips forward as the leg sends it to the side. Then we'll point the foot. Let's do the same thing here. The bowl of punch hips are level. They stay facing forward as we rotate that femur bone into internal rotation, and then we rotate it open into external. Let's do that one more time, but with a flex foot. Rotate the leg in. That's still happening from here. It's not happening from the ankle. Turn it open. Straight leg underneath. We're going to do one circle to the back. So we'll reach the leg long first with a flex foot and then finish with a pointed. That's happening from our butt cheek, not our low back. We'll turn the leg open as it comes around the corner, rotating it in the socket, inseam forward. It'll return all the way to the front. Then it'll come to neutral, flex the foot, straight leg under.
Excuse you again.
I'm sorry. We'll do the same thing on the other side. Tall in the outside leg, point to the front. Now rotate the leg open from the hip and then gently turn it in. Repeat again, this time with that flex foot. Rotate the leg open and then rotate the leg in. And we can feel those little muscles moving up in our butts. We'll rotate the leg open again. We'll point the foot. We'll send the leg to the side, keeping the hips forward, keeping the inseam forward, keeping the cage down. Now we'll do that pointed foot turn in and then turn open. Flex the foot, same two moves. Turn the leg in, turn the leg open. Last time, turn the femur in, straight leg under. Little half circle, going to the back first with the flex foot and then finish with the pointed foot if it feels okay. The hips stay forward as the leg rotates open in the socket. Inseam comes forward. Then all the way to the front, staying tall in the standing leg, butt cheek. Flex the foot. There should be room for it to come straight underneath you. Give that a little shake and wiggle. Hips on fire.
Hips feeling good. Saturday morning, hips feeling good here. So now maybe change your stance just a little bit. And final time at that theme park. And this time we're drawing a circle on the wall in front of you. So start by compressing or pulling down, activating our deep neck flexors here. And then let's slide to the right. Then this time, keep tension down, but reach up and over, and then back down. Let's just do that one more time in that direction. Over, up, reaching through the crown of the head. Create that space, but keep the tension on the muscles and pull back to middle. And switching our other direction, pulling down, reaching up, shooting energy out of the eyeballs, whatever cue works for you. And then one more time in that same circle shape, around, up, over, and pull back down. Does it sound like Rice Krispies? Hopefully not too much snap, crackle, pop, but move those joints and they will thank you for it later. And then let's take that same effort through the rib cage. So staying as tall as you can, but compress the ribs down onto those hips through those abs, and then slide to the left or right, and then pull yourself down. and use those muscles to stabilize on one side and move on the other. And as you lift up and over, engage the core still. Pull yourself down, back around, up and over. Final half circle here to the center, and then compress down and move the other way. As you reach up, you could still take that punch and you can still breathe, making sure these core efforts aren't taking away that ability to breathe, and pulling around and pulling back down to center, and then shake it out and meet in the middle. Now I'm going to use Lauren's toe squat variations there with those mobile ankles, mobile hips to get to the floor for a really quick wrist warm up. And from there, I believe we're going crawling. So knees over toes, we've been there before. Then let the heels lift up again to take your time to get low. Knees down, hips through, wiggle back, and now we'll land on the floor, fingertips, calluses, and full hands. In this position, it's always that first knuckle push-up. So with the armpits out of your ears, get up towards those callus lines. There was that snap, crackle, pop again, making its appearance. But now that I've done that, I feel ready to go. Use these wrist exercises to strengthen, of course, but also to check in how you feel on a daily basis before we load them up too much more in those crawls. But until then, let's push away and make those gorilla fists this time. Knuckles 1 and 2 are the important ones to think about here. And keeping the armpits low, we can flex over the back of the hand, showing the palm to the ceiling. That's flexibility. The strength, again, is to push into the knuckles to return to stack. Repeat on the other side. Flexion is that stretch over, and then in this case, it's that pushing down to extend the wrist back to the stacked position. Just a quick dose of 2 here. On your own, you could do this for that 8 to 10 number, but right now, just a nice little check-in to say, yep, my wrists can bend. I can feel that tension between my hand, your hand, and the floor. And then if we went back to a more conventional hand shape, let's do one more moment here on our shoulder blades here. So knees could stay on the ground, or they could hover for an additional challenge. And at the blades, do the retraction, meaning squeeze together. Then elevate, meaning towards ears. Then protract, meaning press into the floor. And then depress or pull down to the hips. Retract. Now just once in the reverse direction. So from retraction, go depression or towards hips. Then protraction, pushing the blades underneath the armpit. Elevate as to shrug. Retract together. And then push the floor away. Shake out those hands and build endurance and awareness through the wrists, the hands, the shoulder blades, as it pertains towards other shapes that Lauren will share with us shortly.
Yes,
that's your cue.
I will. Let's first start on our back. Let's give our wrists a little bit of a break and do our hollow hold first. So we'll end up on our back with our knees bent and our feet flat on the floor, palms up at the side. Right now, we're going to think about keeping the spine the same-ish, so we're not tucking our pelvis as we do our crunch, and we're not curling our spine as we lift our head and shoulders off the floor. But what we're going to do here is bring our ribs to our hips, lifting our chest towards the ceiling. We're breathing underneath that, and we're holding. Our head and shoulders are up. Good. Maybe we stay here, or we could add our knees come up over top of our hips. We could stay here. Maybe we straighten one leg and bring it back, and the other leg and bring it back. We could extend to 2 legs towards our handstand position. We could bring our legs towards our head. 8 more seconds here. We're bringing the ribs up, connecting, breathing for 3, 2, knees come back to center, and slowly relax. Okay, we'll implement some more abs here as we flip back to all fours. Last day we worked a little bit on our bear hover. Today let's take that for a bit of a crawl. So what that means is our knees are going to hover just off the floor. We have stability in our core and a bowl of water on our back we don't want to spill. With opposite hand and leg, we're taking some steps in the forward direction, not tipping or twisting. They don't have to be big steps. We're breathing for about 2 more in that forward direction. Now, could we do the same pattern back? It's still contralateral hand and foot. Keeping that bowl of water nice and steady for 2, 1, knees come down, hands push away, toes tuck. We'll rock ourselves back with or without those hands. Find the heels, press yourself to tall. Whew.
Sounds good.
More crawls to come.
Crawls to come, and until then, break off the hands with an emphasis now on our feet. So on the single leg, pull up to the ankle, then incorporate a single leg knee bend. From here, pull the femur head in to the hip, that we have a slightly cow-tipped hip, and as we extend through, cramp the glute and extend that hip nice and fully at the top. Low dose for here. As you do that just one more time, take your time getting low, and avoid that hip jutting out to the side by perhaps hiking up on the other side. Extend the hip, full glute cramp, return to 2 feet, and switch on the other side. So pull up to the ankle. As I descend, I'm actually trying to think about lifting the leg that's off the floor even higher to activate the glutes on the other side. And then extend that hip. And by activate, I mean support. Repeat that one more time. Support the down phase with that elevated leg, keeping the hips nice and level. Punch bowl hips, that cue will show up again. And extend the hip through to tall. Finish on 2 feet. Save some volume for down there. Let's get back to those hands.
This time we're going to work on our crawl, but in an elephant position. So what we'll do is we'll use our hip hinge, and then we'll walk ourselves out to our elephant or slightly positioned like our down dog. So our shoulders are elevated, our elbows are straight. Our knees might have that slight bend because we're prioritizing the tailbone tip to the ceiling, so lengthening those hamstrings from the very top of the butts. Now from here, either stay or again, take opposite hand and foot in that straight, I don't know where that straight was going. Take the opposite hand and foot off the floor, walking forward, placing them down at the same time here. Breathing, keep trying to reach those hamstrings up. Last one in the forward direction. Now again, could we pattern that backwards? Opposite hand and foot. Lifting those hips towards the ceiling, peeling the hands away, peeling, and then coming back to center. Let's keep our hands on the floor and try to walk our feet close to our hands. Take a second here, breathe. Bend your knees a little bit, keep your hands down, and then try to lift the hips in the air, keeping the nose tight to your knees. Let's do that one more time. Knees bend. Then hips try to lift in the air, but stay tight to your knees. Then hands will peel away. Chin will tuck, and we'll slowly stack ourselves back up. Whew.
Nice.
Hammies.
On a single leg again. So return to that elevated position, and this time as we descend, it's that knee over toe. Now take a high tension ankle of your choice. For this one, I do tend to do my dorsiflex foot and just hold for time, then pull under and extend that hip back through. Repeating again, and this time we'll keep the leg out there as we stand up in that standing squat. So pull yourself low, keep this leg up and hold it out front for a second or two, and extend that hip back up to tall, and with control bend or flex, and return back to tall stand. Repeat on the other side, so pulling up to a single leg, and maybe this is where you stay as you're working on that balance. And then descend in that squat. We could also spend some time here, but as Lauren did, we'll extend that leg out front and then flex it back underneath and push the hips through. Breathe. And repeating one more time, descending low in that squat, extending the leg out front, and this time as we stand, push the hip all the way through, return with control, back to 2 feet, and back to those hands.
Oh, we explored another crawl last week, and we're going to come back for that version, the crab, so the
Bridge.
Reverse position. Let's make our way to the floor by doing our knees towards over our toes. Our heels peel up. Those soft landing on the knees with or without the hands. Hips extend. And let's practice sitting on those heels for 1 second. Pointed feet out the back. Maybe we feel that stretch through top of our quads, top of our ankles. Then we'll extend the hips back through. And you'll wiggle yourself how you need to come on down. Feet are pointed away. Fingertips are pointed away for now. Shoulders are shrugged in the ears. Now let's push the floor down to press the shoulders out of our ears and also then lift the hips. With those hips lifted off the floor, can we start to lift them even higher towards that tabletop position? We're breathing. I like to look at the ceiling here to squeeze my cheeks. And then my hips will start to come back, down, And they're going to continue down and even try to sneak through my hands, reaching behind me. And then could we imagine lifting those feet off the floor for 3, 2, then hips come back up. Let's lift back up to that tabletop if you want to add on without twisting or dipping. One leg straightens and holds and then down. And then the other leg straightens and holds and down. And then hips come back through. Still push the floor away or reach them back underneath you. And let's imagine again lifting those feet for 4, 3, 2, hips come back through and then rest.
And enough of that imagining lifting legs off the floor. Let's actually do that. So sitting nice and tall with one leg flexed here at the hip and the knee and grabbing onto the front of the shin. High tension foot. Maybe as it pertains to the handstand now, let's do that point foot and imagine, or in fact, lift that leg off the ground, pulling the femur bone into the hip and breathing and returning to the ground with control. Avoiding that slumpy shape, so instead just try to find those sit bones as we lift our heart up and repeat as we lift, flexing, holding, breathing, safely cramping, and returning out of that with control. Let's return that just to 2 repetitions now on the other side. So sitting tall and staying nice and square, maybe plant flex at that foot, and with control, lift a leg. Did you do your easy one first or your hard one first? This side's a little bit easier for me. And return back to tall.
That means he's going to want to hold it for longer.
Repeat one more time. Trying to hold for about 5 seconds here for fun, but maybe 10 seconds for an extra little intense burst later with control rather. Return that to the floor. And from here, any other crawls or any other tasks, Lauren?
Yeah, I'd like to do one more crawl here.
Amazing.
We're going to get that squat warmed up, those hips warmed up a little bit. So let's come back to that plank position. We'll be down here for a couple, not minutes, but at least a full minute here. So make sure those wrists are ready, and if not, take a break when needed. First, we'll be in our plank, and let's just hold some tension there. So we're pulling the floor together underneath of us. We're squeezing those cheeks. Couldn't move you if I tried. For 3, 2. Now we'll bring our right foot or our left foot up beside that same corresponding hand. Right here, we're trying to reach the spine long. We're keeping the back leg straight and reaching out that front knee. For 3, 2. Prepare for lift off of the front foot and switch. Same thing, other side. Other leg comes up. Back knee's nice and straight. Reach out that front knee for 3, 2. Now this time I want you to bring your back foot up. Good, and we'll end up in that low squat position for a second. Chest is lifted, knees are pushing out. For 3, 2, hands are gonna go back, and let's put the second leg back. So the leg that didn't come from the back, if you remember, if not, just pick one. Hold. Now this time let's put our back knee down on the floor. We breathe, our heart is still extended, our chest still extended. Now could we bend that back knee, but keep the back hip extended. Ooh, for 3, 2, then back toe tucks, back knee lifts. Put that foot back to the other foot, and then bring the other leg up. Reach long, back knee comes down. Breathe, bend the back knee, keep that back butt cheek squeezed for 3, 2, back toe's gonna tuck. We'll come up via our squat, so both feet will come up again. Lifting chest, prying open on those knees, rocking back and forth a bit, and then push down and away and press to tall.
Great.
Oh yeah, I like that one.
Hips feeling good, hands feeling good. Let's take one little moment off those hands before we finish today's practice with some kick-ups and return to the squat. But this time today, let's just stand on the single leg and reach the other leg along the floor to the front. To return at home, push the hip through, finishing nice and tall. Just doing the front half of this movement clock variation, just spend some time and be very light on the straight leg out to the side and heavy on that standing leg as we push through. Repeating one more to the side, and Lauren's hip warm-up had us showing those inseams forward. So let's do that same thing here and push through nice and tall. Repeating the same 3 positions on the other side, lift. And again, avoiding the hip out to the side. Keep those glute mins and meads and TFLs active to stabilize the hip as you push the leg back underneath. Repeating on the other side and breathe. Maybe a little test. Could you lift that standing leg? Rather, the other leg, I'm sorry. Probably can't lift the standing one because we're heavy and we're strong on it, but out to the side. It's that inseam forward, hips to level, nice active side, butt cheeks, and pull underneath and be tall. And without too much more delay, this is the tripod kick-up.
So we've been practicing these over the past weeks. Again, we've done a couple crawls today. If you would rather revisit those crawls than work towards our upside down hand time, do that. But if we are going to entertain this tripod idea, we have one leg forward, one leg back, hands are on the floor. Stack those shoulders over top of your wrists. And then remember, our first thing is to just find some baby air. So just trying to get a little bit of feet off the floor, a little bit of feet off the floor. Once you progress that, you can get to that higher kick up where we keep one leg reaching to the ceiling and the other leg reaching to the wall behind us. This allows us to always come back to the floor safely and prevents that over kick.
Whew. That was 3 on one side and then 3 on the other. Maybe you can alternate, but start low and spend some time building that intensity and strength for those hands down low. Lauren always likes that scissor. It's a nice variation too. It's that up with one and down with the other. Climb that ladder or that intensity power vibe here, then push the floor away. Check in how it feels to be upside down like that. And let's do that same thing one more time in a row.
One more time. So that same entry. After the first time, maybe you built a little confidence. You're feeling like you could kick a little bit more. If you don't feel that way, don't push it. But remember, we are always reaching one leg up to the ceiling and maybe the other leg comes up to meet it. If you're worried about over kicking, leave that leg behind you. It'll bring you back down. Think about your hands gripping the floor, those shoulders stacked, and that hollow body position we did in our warm-up today.
Finish with control and finish like you could do more repetitions. Avoid that fatigue. Work through some fatigue, but avoid that failure to maintain safety, strength, and progression in your own practice here. Great scissors. Lauren has that other leg reaching towards behind, so the momentum would carry her back in the event of needing to get out of it, also known as a bail. Shake it out.
Great.
One rep each leg, as safe low as you can go in that single leg squat. So take a leg up to the ankle, keep it there, or it's extended out front. Take your breath in and pull yourself to your safe low and power up nice and tall. Pull it underneath. I did my easy leg first. We're all gonna have that one that prefers to gesture, prefers to stand on it. So can I do it today without falling? Ooh, nice. That's fun. Shake it out. Second variation and last exercise for today is my favorite, that step in variation.
So that step in entry, we start with one leg forward and one leg back and arms overhead. And then again, before you even land on the floor, get that hollow body position so the rib cage down. Start with the little air, just getting your feet off the floor, absorbing the floor softly with your hands as to not smash. We're pushing the floor away to always stand back up to tall. And again, if you leave that trailing leg, it'll bring you back. Start little, gradually get more and more.
Work in progress, what I would describe as our handstands. They're working on them for quite a few years now, learning from great professionals along the way and sharing those tips with you. They all say the same thing. Do a little bit now and a little bit again and avoid that overtraining vibe, but familiarizing yourself with the upside down. And in this case, Lauren's keeping that trailing leg behind just to make sure we don't overkick. That'll save you a lot of wrist niggles and frustrating vibes as you slowly learn to figure out how to go upside down. One more thing, 30 seconds of awesomeness whereby maybe you crawl, maybe you plank, maybe you hollow hold. And in our case, we're gonna try to hold our 30-second inversion one last time for today.
All right, so we're putting 30 seconds on the clock. You're picking your activity. Let's go in 5 seconds here. In 3, 2, and go ahead. 30 seconds of fun here.
Oh, nice, Lauren. About 27 seconds, keep it going.
We started at the quarter after.
I know, that's 30 seconds of work right there. Great way to finish for Lauren there. I'm hoping that you found some success in today's practice as well. Success is awareness at first, and then some frustrations, of course, but then put it all together and have fun with the shapes you can make with your own body weight and us here at Bars and Bells.
This was another week of our live classes, working towards 6-ish weeks of a semester. I forget. I just go week by week.
Yep.
Some are 7. Next week it starts again on Tuesday with our kettlebell, on Thursday with our bar class, pressing and some hips, and then we're back here in a week. In the meantime, check out the archive, like and subscribe on YouTube. We also have a blog and a website if you want to check out any in-person activities. Until next time, take care.
Stay strong.
And let's train soon.
Have a good day.
Goodbye.